All right, welcome back to the night club. Today we're doing lesson 7.5. We're going to be factoring, okay? Factoring polynomials that look like x squared plus bx plus c, all right? Before we do that, though, we're going to have a little review of something we've already done. We just took a test on it yesterday, and that's multiplying, okay? So we're going to do this first, all right? So, I already showed you the solution down here. So we're going to multiply this first. So like I said, we just took a test on this yesterday, okay? FOIL, you can do the box, however you did it yesterday. I'm just going to FOIL. X times x is what? X squared. I'm sorry?
Can I put this in the calculator?
You cannot. X times 8 is 8x. 2 times x would be 2x, and 2 times 8 is 16. So that will be x squared plus 10x plus 16.
Amen.
That's the problems we were working yesterday on the test. Okay? So today, and most math classes are like this, you learn one thing, and then you learn it backwards. Exactly what you're going to do today. Okay? Factoring just means you find factors, and factors are what are the things you multiply together to get whatever it is you're talking about. Everybody with me? So what are the factors of 6? Well, 2 and 3, because 2 times 3 is what? 6. It could also be 1 and 6, because 1 times 6 is 6. Does that make sense? It's the same thing with polynomials. So we just multiplied these two things. So these are considered to be the factors, and they're the factors of what they answered was when we multiplied. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're going to go in the opposite direction. They're going to give us some trinomials, and we got to figure out what two binomials multiplied to equal that trinomial. Does that make sense? Okay. It's a game. To play the game, you need to know your multiplication tables.
Understandable.
Okay. All right.
I know my multiplication
So,
tables. Let's go.
All the way from
Coach, what are we
0 to 12, probably. Okay. Possibly could be higher, but if you know 0 to 12, you're in the right vicinity. Okay, sir.
What do we win if we play this game?
You can win a good grade on your test.
Understandable.
All right. So here's how we do this. Okay. Example 1. Did I erase it? There it is. There's example 1. It says factor x squared plus 10x plus 16. So here's what we're going to do. You always, the first thing you do every single time is look to see if there is a greatest common factor. We already did that kind of factoring, okay? But the problem is there is not a greatest common factor. Because the numbers, we have 1, 10, and 16. The only number that goes into 1, 10, and 16 is 1, okay? And do they all have a variable? No. The 16 does not have a variable, so you can't pull x out. Everybody with me so far? So if it's like this, if you have a trinomial, you know I had to have multiplied two binomials to get that, okay? So every time you do it, you're going to set it up like this. And we just have to figure out what were the numbers in here. And here's how you do it. You take this number, whatever it may be. Your numbers that go in here have to multiply to equal 16. Okay?
So it could be 4 and 4.
So I'm just going to, and you don't have to do what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of showing you what your options are. It could be 1 and 16. It could be 2 and 8. It could be 4 and 4. It could be -1, -16, -2, -8, -4, and -4. All of those, if you multiply them, give you what? Positive 16. Okay? So that's what you start with. You start with what multiplies to be whatever that number is. Then you look at the middle number, and you're looking for two numbers that add up to be that number.
Okay.
Okay? Out of these choices. So is 1 plus 16 10? No. Is 2 plus 8 10?
Yes.
Those are my two factors.
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay? And once you pick them, just double check. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 plus 8 is 10. That's all there is to it. Okay? Now, the more factors you have, the harder it is to pick. Okay? The least factors you have, the easier it is to do. Everybody with me so far? Okay? But you just got to remember, start with what multiplies. Don't start with what adds up to whatever. Okay? Because literally how many different numbers could add up to 10?
Oh, wow.
There's an infinite number. Okay? You could do 5 and 5, 4 and 6, 3 and 7, 10 and 0, 11 and -1, 12 and -2. All of these would add up to 10. Does that make sense? Okay, so don't start with what adds. Always start with what multiplies. Everybody with me?
We've done this in like 5th grade.
You did this definitely last year. I don't know if you did it in 5th grade or not. Let's try example 2. Actually, let's try another one of example 1. Extra example 1. Woo, it's always big. All right. So all I'm going to do, and again, if you need to write it down, you can. Okay. Do I have a greatest common factor? You do not. I'll go ahead and tell you on this lesson, you will not have a greatest common factor. Okay. But there's coming a day where we might. Everybody with me? Okay. But for today, you're not going to have one. So we're looking for numbers that multiply to be 14. Okay. And add up to be 9.
So is it always the one without a variable?
That's what you're multiplying.
That's the multiplying. The one that has a variable is the adding.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So what multiplies to be 14? I can think of 4 things.
2 and 7.
1 and 14 and 2 and 7. Which one of those adds up to 9?
2 and 7.
2 and 7. So plus 2 plus 7. If I had written plus 7 plus 2, is that still okay?
Yes.
Yes, because remember, we're multiplying, and it does not matter what order you multiply. Is that making sense? Okay? Now, we did that one in our head. Do you have to do it in your head? No. You can literally come over here, put down 14, and just start writing the factors of 14. Just make sure whatever you put, you include positive and negative, because it might be both. Everybody with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Most of the time, you should be just able to do it in your head there. Okay?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's try example 2.
Bet you would cross that down.
Here we go. All right, multiplies to be 12, adds up to -8. Okay? So again, I'm just going to do it the long way. I'm a teacher. I've been doing this a long time. I can do them in my head pretty quick. Okay? So 12. Now, I will give you a little hint though. If I'm getting a positive number here, right? That means my signs have to be what? The same. They might both be negative. They might both be positive. Okay? But if it's positive here, they got to be the same sign. Now, what sign do they have to be? You get that from what is the sign here? Negative. So they both have to be negative. And I just got to figure out which ones add up to 8. -2 and -6. Okay? -2 times -6 is positive 12. -2 plus -6 would be -8. And we're done. That's it. Okay? Now, like I said, you can write them all down if you have to. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, or -1, -12, -2, -6, -3, -4. And pick the one that adds up to the middle number. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay? Do another one of those. x squared minus 12x
Negative 9.
plus 27. What you think?
Negative 9 and
Negative 9, negative 3. See, 27 is an easy one because 27 doesn't have very many numbers that multiply to be 27. 9 and 3 and 1 and 27. That's about it. Okay? So you just got to figure out which one of those adds up to negative 12. Is that making sense? Everybody good? We sure? All right. Couple more.
You're not following.
Example 3.
Yeah, Layton, you do it.
All right.
You do it.
How do you multiply and get a negative number?
About one positive, one negative.
One has to be positive, one has to be negative. Okay? The bigger number, since we have to add up to be positive 4,
That's good.
the bigger number is going to have to be
Yeah.
positive. Does that make sense? Okay? So, negative 21. It is negative 3 and 7. Okay? But again, if I didn't know that, if I have a hard time thinking about it, I'm going to write all the factors of negative 21. Okay? So that could be negative 1 or 21. Or it could be positive 1 and negative 21. Or I can have 3 and negative 7. Or I can have negative 3 and positive 7. That's the only choices I have to choose from. You just got to pick the one that adds up to what? 4, which is negative 3 and 7. Does that make sense?
It ain't too bad.
If I pick this one, what do they add up to?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. I don't want negative 4. I want what? Positive 4. Everybody with me? Easy enough? Okay.
Hey, see if Layton can do one.
No, don't ask me.
See if you can, coach.
Last example.
All right, I got this one. Never mind, I don't got this one.
Let's try it. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it is.
See if Layton has it.
All right.
I believe in Layton.
What two numbers multiply to be negative 8, add up to positive 7?
No.
2.
Yes.
Oh, do you mean 1 and 2?
Does 1 times 2 equal 8?
No. Oh, it's 2
Let's
times 4.
let's start here.
2 times 4.
All right,
2
let's
times
start.
4.
Let's start here. 2 times 4, but we want what? Listen, we want what? What kind of 8?
Positive. Negative.
Negative. So one of those numbers has to be what?
Negative.
Negative. So I don't know which, so I'm just going to put one of them negative 2 and 4. Then I'm going to put positive 2, negative 4. Okay?
Don't matter.
What else multiplies to be 8? You're missing 4.
You're missing. Shut up.
You're missing a few more factors. What multiplies to be 8?
Come on. There's
It's really easy.
2 more cents.
Negative 1 times 8.
And
Come on. One more.
let's switch them.
8 times negative 1.
That's the same as that.
Negative 8 times 1.
Okay? Are there any other numbers that multiply to be 8? No, that's it. So if I added these up, what do I get? If I add negative 2 and 4, what do I get?
Negative. Oh my God. Move on.
Negative 2 plus 4.
Negative 2 plus 4 is 2.
2. Okay? What's 2 minus 4?
2.
What kind of 2?
Negative 2.
8 minus 1.
7.
1 minus 8. We need it to equal what?
Positive 7.
Here's my numbers.
Yeah.
So what goes in the parentheses?
Negative 1 and 8.
Okay? Any questions?
Love you, Layton.
Everybody good? All right.
Eventually.
3 years later.
Hope this video helped. We kept it under 15 minutes. That's awesome.
Surprisingly, with
Y'all
Layton.
have a good day. We'll see you next time.